What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Barking for Balance, the podcast where we talk about dogs, but we also talk about whatever it is that's meant to teach, inspire, and entertain. This particular episode is going to be a bit of a tough one. It's going to be a very emotional one, and I'm going to try my best to be entertaining. Parliamo Siciliano. We do speak Sicilian on this podcast quite a bit. So I'm going to try my best to continue to be entertaining as possible. And the reason why this is going to be a little bit of a tough podcast and it's going to be a little bit of a tough episode for me is because I want to talk a little about Cesar Milan's dog, Junior. I just found out yesterday that Junior passed away a week ago. So that kind of hit me pretty hard. So it's a little bit of a tough situation, and I'm like I said, I'm gonna get a little emotional, most likely. So I'll try my best not to lose my tough guy demeanor here, and but it's gonna be tough. I am very emotional when it comes to certain things. I'm very passionate when it comes to what I do and working with dogs and how I came to be. And so I do get very tough a lot of times, and I do get very stern and parlo siciliano. I do speak Sicilian. And for those of you guys that don't know who I am, I am Pat the Packman, and I am here in New Jersey. I'm a dog behavior and rehabilitation specialist with Packman to the Rescue, Canine Solutions and Coaching. And that's kind of like how I became Packman and created Packman to the Rescue, pretty much because of Junior. And that's why it's not just because of that I have a very emotional attachment to Junior and Cesar Milan as well. But Junior in particular, and then, Junior kind of started this whole thing. And then Cesar kind of took the rest, but it's basically the two of them, and Junior is the one who started it. So I'm very, very emotional about it. There's three reasons in particular, which I'm going to get to in a second, as to why this is such a touchy subject. And so yeah, but I was a financial advisor for 16 years, and then 2014 I made the decision to quit that career path, which I was not very happy with for a while, and decided to become a dog behavior and rehabilitation specialist. And really what I focus on is I teach people about dog psychology, how to communicate dog language. It's about training people, not training dogs, guys. Dico siempre. I say the same thing all the time. It's about training people, not training dogs. And I owe that exactly to Junior and to Cesar Milan as well. So, today's Thursday, July 29th. And usually it's funny because I usually record these podcasts on Mondays. For the most part, I record them on Mondays. And then they're posted, they're aired on Thursdays. And speaking of it being aired, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. This is an emotional one, but like I said, there's tons of entertaining stuff. There's tons of educational stuff and tons of inspirational stuff. So there's lots of good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Lots of stuff, good stuff. So yeah, so make sure you subscribe to the podcast Barking for Balance on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google, Amazon, and of course, if you want to see my beautiful face, you want to subscribe on YouTube. So make sure you don't want to miss out on Barking for Balance. It's a great kick-ass podcast, and you don't want to miss out. I know I'm a little cocky about it, Ernie, but it's really cool. It's a really good podcast. Anyway, so yeah, so today's Thursday, and like I said, July 29th, and I usually record them on Monday, like I was saying before. They air on Thursdays. The clip, little short clip of the podcast airs on Wednesdays. And so last night I was, I was getting ready. I was actually getting ready to go to the gym. It was about 9:00 at night. And I was finishing my dinner, getting ready to go to the gym. And I get an alert on YouTube from Cesar's channel, and I saw the title that said tribute to my best friend Junior Milan, and of course my skin, my rizzano le carne, I got my skin started to crawl. Just I knew something was up, so I went on it and I watched it, and of course that's when he made the announcement of Junior's passing. And Junior passed away on July 21st, and I guess, he needed some time to deal with it. And before he, made the announcement to the public, and I totally get that. But yeah, yesterday was when I found out, July 28th. And that 28th, man, Jesus Christ, that 28th is just an awful, awful, awful number for me. There's just so many things that happened on the 28th, including when I got married, which was July 28th or August 28th. It's oh shit. Oh, bed damacha. Here we go. So actually, I met my ex on July 28th, and we ended up getting married on August 28th, I believe. But there was also a bunch of other like 28ths attached to, other bad stuff that happened on with 28th, especially dates, the 28th of whatever month, but the 28ths are just awful. And of course, this is another case. Yeah, and I was married for 6 months, in case everybody was wondering. Bed damacha, what an awful situation. But that's a whole other story. That's a whole other problematic situation. But another cool story about that. That actually was a necessary thing, because that helped me overcome my fear of dogs. Yes, I used to be afraid of dogs till I was 28 years old. See, 28. Holy shit. That number haunts me. But but yeah, so 28, Jesus Christ. So yes, I God had a plan. He wanted me to get married, and 28, and he's like, all right, 28 years old, no more fear. And that's how it started. So we'll get into that on another episode. I might have mentioned this on other podcast episodes about that, but yeah, so I found out yesterday, and he had passed away on the 21st. And Cesar, I hope you I hope you get a chance to hear this. And obviously, what you mean to me and what you've done for me is incredible. And I want to send my condolences to you and your family. And, I met Junior one time. I met Cesar one time, actually, at one of his shows. I had front row seats. My ex knew what a fanatic I was for Cesar. And so she got tickets for, for me to see him. And Junior was there, and then she actually got VIP passes to get pictures taken with Cesar and Junior, which was amazing. That was actually before I started doing this. I think it was just it was before I started doing this as a career. I don't even know if I was doing this as a hobby yet. But I have a picture with him and Junior, with Cesar and Junior. And Cesar, like I said, giving you a big hug and kiss. I can only imagine what you're going through, and I'm really sorry, and I could do anything, obviously I'll be there. But yeah, I do understand. And it's funny also because like this episode is being recorded today, which is July 29th, so it's not going to be aired until next Thursday, which is I believe it's August 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So it's August 5th, and tomorrow, July 30th, is the premiere of Cesar's new show, Better Human, Better Dog, or Better Dog, Better Human, something like that. So so I was really excited to see that and to watch that show with and of course Junior is going to be in that show. So it's going to be a really interesting situation. But I'm recording this now. Tomorrow, I just found out yesterday, tomorrow is going to be the premiere of his new show. So there's just a lot of, I'm going to be seeing Junior, which I haven't seen in a long time. It's going to be, and Junior was 15 years old, so obviously, he lived a good long life, a good, healthy, happy. I mean, how much better of a life as a dog can you get when you're with the master? You're with the greatest, Cesar Milan. So obviously, he lived the greatest life ever. And 15 years old, that's wonderful for a purebred, big dog. It's cool. It's sad, but unfortunately, it's the nature. And I talk about this on other podcast episodes about how they're dealing with death and how I dealt with my first dog, Peanut. So, I want Cesar to I'm praying for Cesar, because I do know that, granted, I think he's in a different situation now than he used to be. He was devastated at one point after Daddy died. And so, I just hope that this is, doesn't drag him down. I know I was very sad. I was very, very emotional yesterday when I found out. In fact, I did not go to the gym afterwards. I just couldn't. And, I spend time outside with the feral cats at night. I take care of the feral cats in my area. And there's one particular who I'm going to be bringing in at home soon, be bringing in house at the end of the summer. And I spend time with him in particular every single night. I sit outside with him. He sits on my lap. He's fall asleep. I pet him, he purrs. The whole thing. Give him treats, all that crap. And I actually just started tearing up and started crying like a baby, while he's sitting on my lap and just, relaxing and hanging out. But I was thinking about this so much, and it was heartbreaking. And then just today, I was talking to a few friends about the situation, and um, some people just didn't understand, like, why was I so emotional about that. I mean, it wasn't even like my dog. I met him one time. I mean, was it, they were asking, like, was it because it's Cesar Milan, and what happened with you, and how things, how you feel about Cesar Milan and all that kind of stuff. And um, there's a lot of reasons why, I'm very emotional about Junior. And so, when I first stumbled onto the Dog Whisper TV show, it was during a time when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. It was during a time when, my financial advisor career was over. I was miserable, but I had to do it because that's all I knew. And I thought I was stuck doing that. So, trying to come up with different options, different ideas, different concepts for what I could possibly do. And nothing was working. So one day I was watching TV, miserable and dejected and, upset and whatever, just like almost every single night. And I'm flipping through the channels, and I stumbled onto this TV show, and this dog caught my eye. And I just started watching the show because for some weird reason, I have no idea why, this dog just caught my attention. And it's not like I was a dog lover. I mean, I had Peanut, who was my 15-pound Shih Tzu poodle. He was my only dog ever. And I loved him dearly, obviously, loved him to death. But, he was my dog. And at the time, I wasn't a dog lover. I wasn't an animal lover in general. He was my dog. It was cool, whatever. And that was the end of it. So it's not like I started watching this show because this dog was like, look at this dog. For some reason, I don't know. I mean, maybe I do know now. It was God. God obviously knew that this is the path. And so that was the hook, And so I started watching the show. It was this grayish, bluish color, gorgeous dog. And I'm just like, I don't know, I was captivated. So I started watching the rest of the show just because I wanted to get glimpses of this dog. But then I also started watching other episodes of this show because I just wanted to get glimpses of this dog, and I started watching the show, paying attention after a while to what was going on. And it's not, in the beginning, I had no clue what the show was about, nor did I give a shit. And then as I'm watching it, words start to pick up stuff. You start to listen, you start to, hear things. And I started to learn. And the one thing that I remember was that I was dumbfounded when I found out that this particular dog was a pit bull. Oh my God, Bella Madre Pitbull. Oh no, Sancho Siepe Benedito. Yeah. Like I said before, I was afraid of dogs till I was 28 years old. And when I overcame my fears was when I moved into my apartment after I got divorced. And so even though I was not afraid of dogs in general, I was still completely against pit bulls and Rottweilers. And the reason why is, ignorance, lack of experience, lack of exposure, lack of knowledge, and I basically was, what do people say, what the media says, what people say. That's why I was completely against, especially pit bulls, because obviously, as we all know, pit bulls are persecuted at this point. And it's wrong. Don't do that. If you are, don't do that. So that was me at the time. I was, pit bulls are the devil, and so I used to say that a pit bull would never enter my house. Ever would a pit bull enter my house. And so I was dumbfounded. I was like, this dog's a pit bull? Are you crazy? That's impossible. Pit bulls are killers. They're bad dogs, whatever. And so I started watching it because, I was watching this dog like do crazy, amazing stuff. Like he was Cesar's right-hand man. Like he basically, helped Cesar during rehabilitation cases. He helped Cesar, with dogs, with other animals, with people. I mean, he was just incredible to watch. And I'm thinking, this is a pit bull? No, he should be eating people and shit, si mangia Cristiano. He should be eating people and stuff. This dog is like amazing. So I'm like, that's impossible. He can't be a pit bull. And then I started listening to the guy on the show. Again, just picking up stuff here or there, a little bit of there, a little bit of there. And I started learning about the realities of pit bulls, about how, he was talking about this. There's no such thing as an aggressive breed. Aggression is a state of mind. Aggression can be present in any particular dog breed, small, medium, large, whatever. So aggression is a state of mind, which, like I always say now, is stupidity is not about race or age or sex. It's a state of mind. Anybody could be stupid, So and aggression with dogs is the same thing. There's no such thing as an aggressive breed. So I started being educated on the reality of pit bulls and Rottweilers, and so I'm like flabbergasted by this whole thing. And so I don't know why. Well, again, I do know now why, because God made this all happen. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, I'm very, very spiritual. God is at the center of everything that happens. And then, I live by, gotta have faith and patience. And, my faith and patience are with God. God has done so much for me that I understand now how this all is working. So, when it came to the point where I was watching this show, I do understand now why. It was God guiding my steps, guiding me down this path of where he ended up wanting me to be. So I'm here watching this show and I'm being educated on pit bulls and Rottweilers, but at the same time, I'm also being educated on dogs in general, right? So this dog, Junior, this bluish grayish dog who turned out to be a pit bull, right? So now all of a sudden, pit bulls are no longer a bad thing in my mind. Why? Because I actually had facts. I had knowledge. I had the proper information, which most people do not. They have opinions based on, I don't know, fissaria, on bullshit. And that's what they base their facts on, is the bullshit opinions, either of others or what they believe or what they think. But there's no factuality. I don't even know if that's the right word. But there's no facts. There's no reality to those facts. So, now I see it. I mean, I'm seeing this real, and I'm learning how an aggressive dog becomes that way because of bad or irresponsible or stupid owners. So no stupid, right? They become that way. And here's a dog being raised and having things done the right way, and he turned out to be perfect as a pit bull. Holy cow. So that just blew my mind. And so here I am, this guy who's like, has a fear of pit bulls, is now like, okay, so maybe I was wrong, and I admitted that I was wrong. You know what I mean? And so I started to apply some of this stuff with Peanut, some of the stuff that I was learning from Cesar with Peanut. And I was like, wow, this guy really knows what the hell he's talking about. Now, Peanut was pretty good to begin with, but there was some always areas for improvement. And it was amazing, like the transformation when I applied, Cesar Milan's techniques and philosophies. So, Junior educated me and opened up my eyes with pit bulls, right? So the more I started watching the show and the more I was learning, not just about pit bulls, but dogs in general, something lit up inside me, right? And I don't know why that was. I don't know how that was. Again, I wasn't an animal lover, definitely wasn't a dog lover. Remember, I was afraid of dogs till I was 28 years old. At this time, it was maybe like 10 years later, maybe less than, I think it was less than 10 years after that. And here I am. I decided to do the unthinkable. I was a little cocky. I was a little like rash, but I said, you know what? I'm going to do something that I said would never happen. I'm going to adopt a pit bull, a bad one, and I will rehabilitate him based on what I learned from Cesar Milan. And guess what? That's exactly what I did. And this is another thing as to why Junior is so meaningful and so important to me. Again, I put Cesar Milan and Junior kind of like in the same category. Like, obviously I learned everything from Cesar Milan, but Junior really started this whole thing, and he created and he did something, and then he kind of like handed the baton off to Cesar Milan. So the two of them are just, at the center of my world when it comes to how things have evolved for me in my life at this point. And I decided I was going to adopt a pit bull. Right. So throughout the journey of trying to find the pit bull, it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. I was having so much so many difficulties finding the right dog. And there was just one thing after another was falling apart, wasn't working out. And it was just very, very frustrating and aggravating. And it was, I was getting very, very aggravated throughout this whole process until I stumbled onto this one dog, right? And it was just by accident. And I took him home, even though I did not want to. But again, God said, just shut up. Do what I tell you. And that's what happened. I took him home. And this dog drove me nuts, drove me crazy. He was just he was so awful. You know, he had been returned. He was 10 months old, came up from Virginia, was adopted 3 times. And he had come up from Virginia, I believe when he was 7 months, had been adopted 3 times, returned 3 times because of his behavioral problems. And here I am, green, clueless, you know, thinking I know it all because everything I, you know, was learning, I was applying it to Peanut. Not a clue what I was doing. Decided to bring this dog home, and it was a nightmare. So, to make a long story short, I was just at my wit's end. I couldn't take it anymore, and so I was making arrangements to bring the dog back. I was about to become the 4th person to fail this poor dog, the 4th. And so God said, nope, I got this covered. I know what I know. If I'm me, God knows what he's doing. He's got, you know, he had it handled. So that morning, I was making a phone call, making arrangements to bring him back. Again, number 4, that really bothered me. And it bothered me for the most part because I had failed. Right. And, you know, I felt like Junior turned out so perfect because of Cesar. And I thought that I could be the same way, and I couldn't. And I looked at Junior and I looked at Cesar at my dog, and I'm like, I failed you. You know, I mean, if you were with Cesar, you'd be like happy like this guy, Junior, you know? And, you know, as much as Junior kicked things off, I was like, I failed him too. You know, I failed Junior as well. You know, he's the poster child for what a pit bull could be based on what, you know, Cesar did with him and how he was. And here I was trying to do the same thing, and I failed, you know? So I not only failed my dog, I failed Junior, I failed Cesar, and I failed pit bulls. And it was just a very, very, very devastating situation for me to have to look myself in the mirror as I'm making these phone calls and just, you know, admit to the fact that I had failed and I just couldn't do it. And it was really, really tough. And again, God said, relax. From a chip inside on me. I got this. And so he did his thing, and we'll get into that another time about how that all worked out. And so, he did his thing. And the reason why I recognize now why this particular dog was the one that God had chosen for me was, and by the way, in case you're wondering, that dog is Socks. Yeah, that's my boy Socks. Yeah. So the reason why God chose Socks is not just because he's the dog that I needed, but that's the dog that needed me the most, you know, failed 3 times by other people, you know, and so I needed him because he needed to challenge me. God needed him to challenge me, to push me to unlock this skill set, this passion. If I had gotten some of those other dogs that I was looking at, they never would have pushed me. They never would have challenged me to become this, to unleash the skill set, this passion, because they would have been too easy. You know, and sometimes in life we try to take the easy path, and that's why there's so many failed dogs out there, because we try to do things the easy way, and it don't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way, guys. So this was the dog that God wanted me to have because he needed this dog to do his thing. But at the same token, this was the same dog that needed me just as much as I needed him, you know, and that's why we're such a bonded pair. And, you know, from there, it just, that's how things just took off, you know? So there's a lot behind this when it comes to like why Junior is so like part of my heart. And again, you know, I met him one time, you know, he's like a TV personality kind of thing, but why would you be so upset about that? It's because what he did for me personally and what he did for Socks. You know, who knows where Socks would be at this point? You know, I don't know. And honestly, I don't really care because he's here with me and that's all that matters. You know, Sox is 11 years old. And I'm not going to lie. When I heard about this, there was a little bit of selfishness. You know, we could call it selfishness. You know, the Sox and Pepper's my other dog. They're getting older, you know, and I try not to think about how old they are. You know, I really don't keep track. That's why I don't celebrate their birthdays. I don't keep track of how old they are because I know that they will come. And when I realized how old Sox was, you know, Sox is 11 years old now, Pepper's 10, and Sox has, Sox is black and he's got like the gray around his face, and again, he's 11 years old, and so he's 70 pounds, and it's just, again, there was a little bit of transference, I guess you could call it, about feeling, um, you know, I'm not even want to get into that because that's really gonna like never not let I didn't want to talk about that, but um there was a little bit of that there too. But you know, with Junior being Cesar's right hand man, about how here I am no longer, racist or breedist or whatever the word is towards pit bulls because of the one pillar of the pit bulls. Like when I think of pit bulls, that's what I think. I think of Junior. You know, when I first started watching the show, Daddy had since passed away, and Daddy was, Cesar Milan's first pit bull, right? And so Daddy had since passed away. So when I started watching the show, I started watching the show again because of Junior, and then obviously as I'm getting into the show and I'm learning about Cesar, his personal life and himself, I'm learning about Daddy. So Daddy was like the perfect dog, and so, I never met Daddy, as much as, yes, Daddy was like the perfect dog, and maybe from a behavior, from a personality, maybe Daddy was even better than Junior. I don't know. I mean, technically Daddy did raise Junior, so to speak. But as far as I'm concerned, when I think of the perfect dog, forget about Pitbull, the perfect dog, I think of Junior, and when I think of what I want my Pitbull to be or want my dogs to be in general, I think of Junior, because Junior is really, he was the hook. He was got this whole thing started. So it's not just about the fact that he made me look at a breed in a different way, and he's now allowing me to help that breed and educate people on the reality of that breed of pit bulls. But he made me, a believer to the point where now I got one living with me, and I'm not, I don't look at people like, oh, that's a pit bull. No, that's not how I am anymore. So I owe that to Junior. The other part of it is, and yeah, obviously, Cesar is involved at that. Duh, that's common sense. But the whole thing started with Junior. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't for Junior, I never would have been watching that show. I never would have known about Cesar. So yes, Cesar is obviously, instrumental in the whole thing, but it all started with Junior. You know what I'm saying? So here's this dog who I'm like captivated by, and it's a freaking pit bull. Are you insane? And that's how it started. So that was the first thing. So overcoming my fear of pit bulls, viewing them differently, seeing them in a different light, also being able to bring Sox into my life. Now, Sox has been, again, I can't even begin to describe what Sox has done. I mean, Sox is like, everybody loves Sox too, because he's awesome. Like when I'm outside and I see him acting a certain way, and especially since yesterday when I took him out and, there's a dog, coming towards us or across the street or people, whatever. And I watch him and I see him and I'm just like, wow, make your own TV show with you. And, he's just amazing because I molded him and I rehabilitated him based on Cesar Milan's philosophies, teachings, and techniques that basically made Junior the way he was. And I wanted Sox to basically emulate Junior. I wanted them to be the same. And I'm going to say I maybe I'm a little, overly optimistic, but I think it's pretty close. I think we've pulled that off. And I mean, I'm going to give him some credit because I think that the canvas of what he was starting with was pretty damn good. It's just, he had some stuff around him that we had to carve off. You know what I mean? So we started off with a good foundation, and it's an incredible thing. And then of course, the third part as to why Junior is so valuable, and I'm gonna get a little emotional, so I'm gonna be stuttering a little bit. Quando io sono emozionante, balbetto. See, I can't even talk in Sicilian. That meant that when I'm emotional, I stutter. But yeah, so kikio. So it was not just the fact that he Junior was the start to help me overcome my fears, not just that Junior was the reason why I have socks, but also Junior is the reason why I'm in this career path now. I am in this work, career, job, whatever you want to call this. It's awesome. I get to talk to you guys. I mean, like I said, the beard, look at these people, look at you guys, you're awesome. Listen to this. You guys are awesome. And make sure you subscribe, because this way you could get more compliments like that. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon, and YouTube. Come on, you know what I'm saying? Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Well, come on now, got to do that. You got to get the good stuff, because this is the platform where you're going to learn about dogs. You're going to learn the reality, so you can make your dogs like Junior. You can make your dogs like Socks. You can make your dogs like Daddy. You know what I'm saying? Perfect. No matter what the breed, no matter what the size, no matter what the age, no matter what the sex, you can make them just like that, because this here, I'm barking for balance. You're going to learn the right stuff. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you get entertained, and at the same time, you get inspired, and it's all good stuff. So you learn about the Packman. I talk about my own personal life story. So I'm all over the place. But anyway, so getting back to to the reason why Junior is so important to me is, number one, like I said, helped me overcome my fear of pitbulls. Number two, brought socks into my life. And number three, he brought this career path. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for that, this wouldn't be happening. You know what I mean? Why did it happen? It's because this is what I was destined to do. This was God's plan. This is what he had in mind. That's why he made me get married on that 28, that goddamn number 28. Oh, but the mantra made me get married because I had to move into that apartment to overcome my fears overall. You know what I mean? Why did I stumble onto this TV show? I don't know. God knows. And you know what? I don't have to know, because he knows. But Junior, and when I met them, I still remember, I was like, I don't know if I'm more excited to meet Junior, if I'm more excited to meet Cesar. I don't know. It was like a bit of a toss up, like, man, it was to see them face to face, like it was just amazing. It's just amazing. I know, a lot of people like, oh, you don't want to be like too much when it comes to celebrities. This wasn't a celebrity thing. This was just an emotional thing. This was like meeting somebody who just connects to your soul, a canine and a human that just connects to your soul. That's just were gifts from God for you. At least that's how I feel about it. Cesar and Junior were just gifts of God, from God for me. They were like extensions of him to me that made me become what it is that I've always wanted to be, and do what it is that I've always wanted to do. And at the end of the day, do what God meant for me all along. So so some people may not understand what that's all about, but you know what? It's why we're here. You know what I mean? So if you're listening to the Packman, that's why you're listening to the Packman. And it's because of that, because of Junior. That's what it all started, And I remember when I was, because first of all, when Cesar wanted to bring Junior into, wanted to get a puppy, or he wanted to get another pitbull puppy. And the reason why he wanted to do that was because he wanted Daddy to basically impart his personality and his ways to a new generation of dog. So I remember hearing the stories of how that kind of relationship started. And it was basically Daddy who picked Junior, like he was around these other puppies, and Daddy wasn't really too comfortable with them. And then all of a sudden Junior showed up, and like, it was just an instant bond. And so like, when I decided that I wanted to get a pit bull, obviously I had Peanut at the time, and I was bringing all these dogs around Peanut. And again, for one reason or another, they were just, weren't working out. They were all failing from all sorts of standpoints. I was like, what the hell, you know? And then here comes Socks with Peanut, and it was like oil and water. You know, they were like, you know, just wasn't a good match. You know, Socks was like, you know, had aggressive tendencies to people and dogs. Like he was just not a good match for anybody, including me, you know? So I'm like, Jesus Christ, Peanut is supposed to be picking this dog. And it's like, not even there. Like that, like I expected it to be where Daddy picked Junior, Peanut was going to pick the Pitbull. And it didn't work out that way. And then, you know, Peanut ended up passing away maybe about 2 years after I got Socks. And then Pepper came into the picture, and Pepper and Socks just bonded instantaneously. It was a match made in heaven. And I also, at that point, Socks was already rehabilitated. He was, you know, Socks, the real Socks, this Socks. And, you know, I wanted to make sure that he made and helped Pepper become who she was, because at the end of the day, you know, when I was able to get Socks to a certain point, Peanut started to bring his own personality to the mix and helped raise Socks. He helped integrate Socks into the family, you know. And so when Peanut passed away, I wanted to make sure that, you know, Socks helped raise another generation of dog, which was Pepper, you know, much like Daddy did with Junior. And so that's another reason why, you know, I'm such a fan, and I advocate this to everybody, that that having multiple, the benefits of having multiple dogs and the value of having a household with multiple dogs. Now I'm not saying you have to have 100 dogs. I mean, if you have the ability, God bless, you know, have 1 million dogs for all that matters. But, you know, having multiple dogs is so valuable because, number one, obviously they're dogs, so they get along with each other, they understand each other, you know, better than we understand them. And so, you know, it's like siblings. You know, you have two kids that are, you know, as opposed to like an older, you know, a parent or a cousin or whatever, it's the same age, the same, you know, in the same, there's in the same category, they play with each other, that kind of thing. The only thing you got to make sure of is that you do the right stuff, because that could become very chaotic if you don't do the right things. So, you know, you have to make sure that, again, that's why you have to listen to the barking for balance, for barking. Yeah, that's why you have to listen to barking for balance, because this way you learn the right things and you'll have perfect dogs. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you do the right things. You have a pack of dogs under the leadership of you, and everybody knows their role. Everybody knows their position. Everybody's happy. You provide your dogs what it is that they want, need, and desire. You cater to their instincts. You know, you respect their dogness, you know, and everybody's happy, dogs included. Humans are happy, dogs are happy, everybody's happy, and everybody has a great life. And so there's no fights, there's no problems, there's no bad behaviors, there's nothing. It's peaceful, it's happy, it's wonderful. And so the reason why also it's so important to have multiple dogs is because, unfortunately, like I said, they're gone too soon. And, you know, we're left with the void, you know. And so what I feel is, when you have multiple dogs, you still have that one that is basically an extension of the other. So you have, you know, those dogs are like a mix of the two, so to speak, you know, like, so Socks and Pepper. So Socks, for example, is a mix of Socks, obviously, and Peanut, you know, so there's a lot of Peanut in Socks. And then when Pepper came into the picture, Socks brought his own, you know, personality, his own benefits, his own greatness to Pepper, along with everything that he had from Peanut. And now it's part of Pepper as well. So, you know, they're both like on the same page. They're both on the same level. They both have the same energy, the same attitude, the same personalities. It's really, I mean, they're different, obviously, but they have a lot of each other. You know what I mean? So as you, like I said, unfortunately pass on from one dog to another, I like to take all those dogs along the ride. So, you know, when we get to our end game of life, we have all our dogs in one, if that makes any sense at all. But also, we keep the memory alive in our hearts and in our minds, but in the present with our dogs as well. And so it's also beneficial because it keeps, at least from the way I feel about it, it keeps us sane. You know, I mean, I remember when Peanut passed away, like I was a mess, but I had Socks, and I needed to make sure that I continued the path, and Socks helped me move past, um, you know, move past that, you know, Peanut's passing. And so I'm sure Cesar has the same kind of stuff with his pack of dogs. He's got dogs that are been, you know, taught and you know, have absorbed a lot of Junior. And so he's he has them to kind of like transition through, the next phase of life. And it's going to take time, obviously, as anything else, but that's one of the benefits of having multiple dogs is they help the transition. The other benefit of having multiple dogs is, like I said, is just, as long as they have a good foundation, you continue to use those dogs are used for the new generation. So listen, I always say this all the time, dogs are the greatest rehabilitation specialist ever. And Cesar says it too, as much as he's the greatest in the universe, he says it too, that dogs are the best. And I believe that. I agree with that 100%. So if we have dogs that are balanced, well-behaved, happy, fulfilled, we can use them when we bring a new dog into our life to integrate them within the pack and then make them just as balanced, as fulfilled, as happy, as well behaved as that dog, because they're learning from a great source. They have a great example, a great role model, to absorb that personality, to absorb that kind of energy and become just like them. And so, that's why I like to say it's having multiple dogs is how, like, I would never have less than two because of that exact reason. It's just necessary to do that, and 1 and 3 are my lucky numbers. So I try to stay away from the ones for some cases, but 1 and 3 are my lucky numbers for a variety of different reasons. So it's which is actually funny because Junior passed away on July 21st, which is 2 and 1, which makes 3. So anyway, just a little bit there, but it's sad. It's very sad to think about this kind of stuff. And for me, it's I'm still very, very upset about it. um I wish I know Caesar's worse, feeling worse about it. And I'm here, I'm praying for you, I'm with you. And we're all in the same boat. We're all dealing with this stuff, and it's sad, but I still have some great, and I will carry them with me forever. And every time I look at socks, I look at Pepper, and every time I look at in my client with my clients, knowing how this journey got started. This journey started, I don't remember what year it was. I want to say it was 2011, 12. I don't even remember, but I do know that the official journey began on September 16th, 2014. That was the day that I quit being a financial advisor and started doing this full time, September 16th, 2014. And when I think about how this journey has been since 2014, we're now July 2021. And, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of good stuff. It's amazing what God has in mind, and, what God has planned. And, it's incredible how when I think about how it started, and it started just by flipping through the channels and seeing this bluish gray dog. And I wasn't even a dog lover. How crazy is that? And here I was yesterday, July 28th, and I wasn't crying because of my wedding anniversary. Oh, but not much. Yeah, it wasn't my wedding anniversary that made me cry. It was actually, I was sitting outside with the cat again. Here I am, not an animal lover, hanging out with stray cats, and crying about a dog that I met one time and that I see on TV. That's because as much as people may not get it, he served an amazing purpose, and it's a purpose that will be with me forever. It's a purpose that, I truly feel benefits others, humans and dogs, because like I said, it's about training people, not training dogs, right? That's why we have to make sure we teach people the right stuff, give them the right knowledge, the right information. This way, if they're armed with that, they can make the decision to do the right thing, to make their dogs happy, fulfilled, and well-behaved. And that's really the goal. Not a well-trained dog, a fun cooler with that crap. Well-behaved, happy, and fulfilled dogs. We need to be well-trained. And Cesar well-trained me, and he took care of Junior, and he made sure that I took care of Socks and Pepper, and, put the pitbulls on the pier at the top of the pier. Because, with Socks, when I first adopted Socks, maybe my own family was like, oh, pitbulls, you're crazy. Got to be careful. Those guys are dead. And now they're like in love, and they see the difference, and they understand. And that's education, and I owe that obviously to Cesar Milan. No question about that. That's beyond beyond even mentioning. But you know, it started with Junior. You know, I have to give credit because it started with Junior. You know, I don't understand it, how it, you know, why, but that's God's plan, and I don't have to understand why. It's just it started with Junior, and you know, I'm gonna see him, you know, tomorrow when I watch the show for the first time. I usually watch TV shows after I DVR them. I watch them at my own leisure, so I can fast forward through the commercials and all that crap. But I actually scheduled my day tomorrow where I'm going to be watching that show live. I have to. After yesterday, I made sure that I scheduled my day so that I could watch the show live, and then obviously DVR, so I can watch it over and over again. But I'm not going to lie, there's probably going to be some tear shedding when I do see Junior. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be hugging Socks, and I'm going to be hugging Pepper when that happens, because it's going to be very emotional. But you know, it's yeah. Bella match, parliamo siciliano. Trying to make light of it, but listen, it's tough. It's going to be tough. You know, I'm going to miss Junior. I'm really looking forward to seeing him tomorrow, which I was already, but now it's many times worse or more better, depending how you look at it. I was really looking forward to seeing Cesar, obviously, but you know, it is what it is at this point. You know, Cesar's an amazing person. He's an amazing man. For those people that don't believe that, people don't get it, whatever. I'm not even gonna get into that. We'll get into that another time. But you know, I'm gonna be watching, you know, Junior, and I'm gonna be thanking him, and I thank him now, and I'm gonna thank him, you know, to you guys as well. Thank you, Junior. Thank you for everything. You know, thank you for showing me how pitbulls truly can be. Thank you for showing me the reality of what pitbulls are. Thank you for I'm getting a little I'm getting a little goosebumps here. Thank you for showing me and bringing Socks into my life, because I wanted him to become like you. I wanted him to be like you. And thank you for giving me the greatest career in the world, that allows me to help dogs like you and teach people who love their dogs, obviously care about their dog, just don't know how to properly care about them. And it allows me to educate them and to teach them what a dog truly wants, so they could be like you. And you know, Cesar, you know, my heart's with you, and you know, I got your back, you know, regardless of the situation. No matter what you need, I got you. I got your back. And I thank you as well, not just for what you've done for me, what you did for Socks, what you did for Junior, what you did for Daddy, but what you do for the world, canine and human, and what you try to do for the world every single day. And you know, so that's I love you guys. I'm gonna miss you, Junior. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. And thank you, Cesar. I'm sure you'll be okay. I'm, you know, gonna take some time. I'm gonna miss you, Junior. You're amazing. And Socks and Pepper, thank you too, especially Socks. He says, thank you, Junior. You did good, and you're always gonna be, you know, what we're striving for. You're always gonna be what we're gonna try to be, what we're gonna try to do, and we're gonna try to teach. Okay. That's how it works. So anyway, a little emotion. Told you I was going to get emotional, guys. So that's about it. Listen, make sure you tune in. National Geographic, Nat Geo Wild, I believe it's on Disney Plus as well. But Nat Geo Wild. Watch Cesar's new show, Better Human, Better Dog, and he's the master. Cesar Milan is the master. You get to see Junior as well. It's going to be awesome. And Junior, I love you. Rest in peace. Say hi to Peanut. And guys, if you guys have any questions, if you want to talk about anything, let me know. I am Pat the Packman. This is Barking for Balance for an emotional episode. I will catch you guys next time. Bye.